Three men and a multiverse of sci-fi's finest spacecraft. But which ones can claim to be the greatest ships ever? Welcome to Space Doc Jury.
Welcome to the Space Dog Jury, Episode 3. I'm Lee, and I'm bringing the Borg Cube.
I'm Peter, and I'm bringing the Super Star Destroyer Executor.
And I'm Andy, and I'm bringing the SSV Normandy 1.
You're bringing the
That sound, ladies and gentlemen, is the sound of Lee Metcalf grinding his teeth.
I'm actually sitting here in my Mass Effect onesie, hating you.
And there's no hate more powerful than a Mass Effect onesie hate.
Yes, exactly.
This is true. I mean, as all Mass Effect fans know, the scene when Shepard puts on his onesie and just thinks the Reapers to death is one of the most powerful scenes in the entire trilogy.
You have no idea. Anyway, right. So, yes, this is Space Doc Jury, Episode 3, and we've got our ships in place. And as you may have heard in the mini-sode, the wheels came off slightly on Episode 2. And so...
a little bit of an understatement. I mean, it's less the wheels came off, more the nacelles were forcibly ejected.
Yes.
The wreckage was blasted across an entire solar system.
Everything went to shit. So, so we rethought the scoring, and it's over to... Andy, for the update.
Okay, I'm very briefly going to just go over the new scoring system, as we have. I hold here the Book of Armaments, chapters 1 for 26.
Are you sitting comfortably?
You're sitting comfortably, yes. Anyone who plays Dungeons and Dragons and so forth will probably be able to understand this better. So anyway, so the categories now, we start with size, and we now rate from 0 to 15. Very briefly, anything scoring of 15 is 100 kilometers or greater. Anything 10 is the size of an Imperial Star Destroyer. 0 to 9 are in 100-meter increments. We will go into more details when we review ships and argue, basically.
Yep.
Then speed, which, let's face it, that was sort of what broke everything last time out. What we've done now is we've basically broken speed into 3 categories. Each is worth 5 points. We have sublight speed, FTL speeds, and then maneuverability. So, if a ship is very fast at going across the solar system but can't go FTL, it would score quite highly for sublight, but nothing for faster than light. If it's a very maneuverable ship, it's going to score highly, but if it moves like a brick and turns like an oil tanker, it's not going to do so well.
And it's one of Andy's.
And it's one of my... I was going to say, it bodes poorly for my capital ships. No,
yeah, so Andy's going to be constantly dreading that that's
but it's okay, because next up is where Andy's going to score some points in firepower. Oh, yes. Again, we're going on a 0 to 15 scale here. Anything scoring a 15 has the ability to destroy stars or greater. We figured if you could destroy a star, anything more than that is just being silly.
So you're on the level of Noel Edmonds' ego.
Yes. The Death Star, one-shotting a planet is 14. If you can one-shot a capital ship, that's a 10. All the way down to 0, at which point you can use harsh language. And that's about the size of it. Then we have defense. Again, defense we've split into 3 subcategories. You have active defense, so point defense weapons, which can shoot missiles out of the sky and so forth. Then we have passive defense, so your Star Trek shields, your ablative armors and things like that. And then we have the special category, which is a little bit undefined, but that's your things like your cloaking devices or your regeneration, if you will. Things like that, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And each of those is worth 5 points. Next up, we have realization. And again, we've split this into 3 categories. We have the exteriors, we have the interiors, and then my personal favourite addition, the science. How good is the science? And that's everything from 1, it's with the fairies, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, because I said so, all the way up to Tyson-proof. Neil deGrasse Tyson-proof. If it's so accurate, Neil deGrasse Tyson himself cannot pick holes in this, you score a 5.
So no 5s for anybody.
Yeah. If we
with
need
possible exception of 2001, yeah, nothing's happening there.
yeah. If we need Jennifer Aniston to turn up and go, here comes the science, then we're it's pretty high.
Yes. And lastly, oh no, not lastly, there's 2.
No, don't.
This is what tripped us up last time.
Yeah.
Then we have crew. And this is broken into 2 categories. We have how many crew you have. That's from 1 to 10 scale. If you're scoring a 10, it's 20,000 plus. If you're scoring a 1, it's between 1 and 5. And then we have skill. If you're scoring a 1, you're part of a Red Dwarf.
Yep, you're
If you're
Dave
scoring
Lister.
a 5, you're a legendary Starfleet crew. This bodes poorly for you today, Peter.
Yes, I know. Mind, but I came up with this as well, so it's all my fault.
Shot himself in the foot ever so slightly there.
With a phaser.
And lastly, but not leastly, coolness. And being the traditionalists that we are, we're sticking to our 1 to 10 for that.
Yes.
We want to throw everything out the window, would we?
Yes, tradition and all this. It's a new tradition, only 3 episodes old, but it is tradition nonetheless.
Yes. And on top of all of that, I can hear the sound of grinding teeth from all the people who listened to all the other episodes and gone, but I've got a chart and my ship didn't win and you changed the goalposts. But luckily...
Yes, we did.
Yes, we have. But what we've done now is obviously we've got a 0 to 100 scale.
Yes.
And using purely the pub and just
The
going
power of beer.
and the power of beer.
Copious
We
amounts of beer.
redid all the ships beforehand, which have gone before, and we're putting them into the top 10. We're just not doing any more of this kind of 1 in, 1 out business. We put them all in the top 10, and so the top 10 currently stands like this. At number 10.
No, number 9, surely.
Oh, at number 9, sorry.
You've got 9.
Oh, God. Yes, look at that. The one thing I had to explain. Andy's gone through 15 categories. The one bit I come in and it all turns to shit. Hello.
So at number 10, nothing. Were you paying attention?
Yeah.
We've got 9 ships.
Yes, exactly. So at number 10, fuck all.
That's how it is.
TARDIS, yeah. At number 9, we have Thunderbird 3 with 32 points.
Wah, wah, wah.
Okay. I'm not getting this all the way. I'm going to screw up the thing and just hang up and go home. Because I'm going to be cross enough as it is by the end of this episode. At number 8, we have the Phoenix from G-Force with 37 points. At number 7, we have the Odyssey from Ulysses 31 with 42 points.
It's just from the guarantee, Peter put them in the wrong way. It's Red Dwarf, I'm afraid.
Oh.
I put them in the order that we rated them originally, but yeah.
Oh,
Adding in the crew.
God's sake.
Jimmy Savile never had this problem.
No, he
Not
had
this
all...
problem.
Not this problem, no. Okay. Shall I just clap and do that again, or...?
Take it to the top.
Okay.
No, keep it in.
Okay.
Just do it again. It's fine.
We'll include outtakes at the end.
Fucking...
The sound of a one-handed clapping.
Right. So it goes like this. Number 9, Thunderbird 3 with 32 points. Then we have the Fiery Phoenix from Gatchaman with 37 points at number 8. Then at number 7, we have the Red Dwarf with 39 points. Joint number 6 and number 5 is the X-Bomber and the Odyssey with 42 points each. Then we move up the table to number 4, which is the White Star with 50 points. Then at number 3, we have the Agamemnon, the Omega-class destroyer at 54 points. Finally, we're into the top 2, and at number 2, we have the Defiant with 60 points, and the Pegasus with 64 points at number 1.
Oh, well done, sir. That's gold clap.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes. I will say, though, as you can see, this system might still need to be refined ever so slightly, just given how highly the X-Bomber placed in this. So, we'll fix that at some point,
Yeah,
honestly.
the X-Bomber is definitely the...
Too low down, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the testicle in the soup at this point. Clearly proving that our system is flawed in some fashion.
Yes.
But nevertheless, there's our top 9. Wow. Yes.
We've got some big ships to discuss tonight, so...
Big ships.
Big ships. Okie dokie. So, I guess it's time for me to get going. So, let's start with the Borg Cube.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Okay, let's go through this. The Borg Cube is the primary starship class of the Borg Collective Fleet. The Borg Cubes are designed as a combined weapons platform and factory, and their main purpose was for destroying military capacity of species to assimilate the survivors into the collective and establish bases wherever the Borg happened to be. The Starfleet themselves designated these ships as dreadnoughts, and for a few years after the first encounter, when they were first encountered by the Federation in the episode Q-Who, although they were hiding in the background in various other episodes like the Neutral Zone, where it's alluded to but never actually seen. Yes, the Borg, well, basically they are just big fucking great boxes. The Borg Cube is exactly cubic. Its length is 3,040 meters on every side. It has 1,700 decks, and it has a crew of anywhere between 15,000 and 640,000 drones. It has a top speed of warp 9.9999996, and then after that it can go up to transwarp drive. Basically, it can cover 7,000 light years in a single year.
It's fast.
It's very fast. Using a lot of the stuff that I've been looking at for these ships, for the Borg, have been doing this thing where they basically compare it against a baseline, which is essentially the Enterprise. So
the D version.
The D version. So whereas an Enterprise would be kind of classed as a sort of baseline of 1. You could it has a scale up from that, and so to measure the weapons and power and all this kind of thing. So you're going to have to forgive me with some of this stuff because it all goes a bit all over the place. But if the Galaxy class is 1,000, where everything's laid out, its beam firepower from its main primary weapon, the Borg Cube has a firepower of 150,000. It also has torpedoes, so standard torpedo complement, but it also has a tractor beam, which is also acting as a cutting tool, which can literally slice straight through the hull of a ship without any problems. It has a shield strength twice that of any Federation ship. It also has the ability to operate with up to 80% of its surface completely damaged or destroyed, and yet can still regenerate within a matter of hours to full and total power. What else can I tell you, really? There's so much stuff. Right, okay, fine. Let's just try and work my way through some of this other stuff. The Borg Cubes were also have the ability to disable shields with a torpedo that in three shots can disable in a Federation starship, and most famously, one cube wiped out 39 Federation starships at Wolf 359. Later, when another Borg Cube came into contact with Earth at Sector 001 in the film First Contact, a Borg Cube was only taken down by 30 ships by the Federation, but they had up to 10 years to prep and had Jean-Luc Picard at the helm picking out particular systems. Yet somehow, even then, the Borg were able to adapt and release a Borg sphere. So, all in all, this ship is nigh on indestructible and certainly well difficult. And if it rocks up in your sector, you are absolutely screwed.
You're going to have a bad day.
Time to leave home.
Yes, exactly. A single Borg Cube has enough drones and enough firepower to essentially assimilate an entire world within a matter of hours. It's a little vague on how quickly that can happen, but essentially a full-powered cube could drop basically a continent's worth of drones and essentially assimilate a whole country in a matter of minutes. But again, it's all a bit wibbly wobbly after that. So I'll leave those stats off to one side. But as far as defences are concerned, it has a subspace field, an electromagnetic field, it has full regeneration and force field, which makes it pretty freaking tough. And I think I'll leave it about there, because right now I think that's all I have, which isn't sort of suddenly going into the apocryphal kind of Star Trek fan fiction kind of elements.
Yeah, you'd have to start getting the Anonoids out as well for some of those sort of more geeky details.
Exactly. Well, there is a lot of stuff about the Borg Cube, but especially when it gets into things like non-canonical stuff like the Star Trek, the manga.
Just so we're clear, so when you're talking about the Borg Cube here, you're just talking about what we see in the Next Generation, VAT, and First Contact?
Next Generation and First Contact is my primary reference.
So we're not counting books or anything like that. We're talking primary canon. Is
yes.
To use the geeky. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, but I'm not using things like the Voyager spin-off episodes and things where suddenly Voyager magics up another special button for Harry Kim to just go, I'm pressing the button, 3, 2, 1, and then something explodes, because that's just rubbish.
Yes, it has to be said there is a world of difference between the Borg Cube in Next Generation and the Borg Cube in Voyager. One is tough as nails, the other one may as well be made of ice cream, really.
Yeah, well, it's what we were saying in a previous episode. It literally is a case of power creep to make them less impressive, because that one thing that Ron Moore, who invented them, I think, or is one of the writers who came up with them, he basically said that it made them so powerful that they actually had to use them sparingly.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't. What started off as we've got to make a decent villain turned into, we've made them far too powerful. We can't actually.
They went from
use
the
them
Ferengi to this.
Yeah, exactly. so it kind of went all over the place, unfortunately.
Yeah, speaking of feature creep, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, what they did was they kind of overpowered them to the point where they had to start reining it in. But unfortunately, by doing that, they kind of ruined it. So, there's a lot to discuss. But it is certainly, I would certainly say, purely I'm working from Q-Who, Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and 2, and Star Trek First Contact. I think everything else after that kind of goes a bit wonky, where the writers are trying to rewrite them into a position where they can use them more than once.
Yes.
So I think it's, we're talking prime.
Out of deference to you, sir, and because we agree that, Voyager was largely shit.
Yes.
We shall endeavour wherever possible to ignore Voyager and pretend it never happened.
It's a good policy.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. So
it's served you well on the broadcast for many a year, has it not?
Yes, and it will continue to do so, believe me.
Okay. So, there you go. So, let's get on with it then. Let's get rating this. So,
Before we do that, can I just say, though, I love, again, classic Borg in Q-Hue and Best of Both Worlds, how utterly terrifying they are when you, if you can take away even First Contact, if you go back to that very first time you see them, just a big black cube, it's fucking terrifying.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the thing with the Borg, which I always admired until such time as they suddenly turned around and gave him a queen because they just had to, which was just stupid. Just don't make them a decentralized creature and then suddenly go, oh, yeah, we'll give you a queen because we have to have someone to actually punch. I mean, no, don't do that. The thing with the Borg as Q-Who and bits of First Contact kind of represent, it's the fact that they are so cold and logical, and they're so emotionless. There is nothing to bargain with, and there's nothing to stop them. And one ship taking out like all of those Federation craft just made them utterly terrifying. And then when they,
it was like a force of nature. It's like there was nothing you can do to stop them. And that was what was so visceral and powerful about them. But then, as is the problem when you have a really cool bad guy, you want to keep using it and using it and using it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it.
Law of diminishing returns, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, it was as close to a Lovecraftian horror that Star Trek ever got. It's that implacable, dead-eyed, unknowable thing out in space that doesn't give a shit about you. It's just going to roll on through, and if you're there, fine. If you're not, fine.
And then with Best of Both Worlds, when all of a sudden you could become one.
Yep.
That was just like,
yeah, exactly. and that's the thing. It's, you know, they're constantly improving, and so that was what really undermined them in Voyager. Is they're constantly improving and they're constantly getting better. Then there is no way to beat them, because what failed the first cube won't fail the second cube.
Yeah.
So I don't quite get how Federation moving at their glacial pace. You know, we built one ship, right? Okay,
well, not just the Federation. It is the single most incompetent crew in all of Starfleet. Yes, I said that. The fucking Voyager manages to defeat them over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Please direct your hate mail to facebook.com /SpaceDocDrewy.
Hey, yeah. So, right, let's get on with sorting this thing out. I mean,
yes.
The first thing's really easy, size. I mean,
yes.
We've got a proper scale for this. We know this thing is 3 kilometres on every side.
Yes.
So that's an 11 without argument.
That's an 11. Yeah.
Done.
No argument from us. You see, this is a nice thing. We have a system, and it works.
Yeah, I know, but we lose.
We think it works.
Yeah, we think it works, but there's no arguments.
Well, there'll be some bumpy patches ahead, but yeah.
Oh yes,
there may be
trouble.
But size was never a problem. Let's move on to speed, which is always a bit more dicey.
Yeah, I mean, now first off, we see the Borg cube entering Sector 001 and literally belting from Mars, taking out the Federation's pitiful defenses, and then ending up in Earth in a matter of seconds. So it's definitely, when they're just trundling along, not using warp drives and all that kind of stuff, they are definitely up in the fives. They're definitely up in the fives. Well, the thing
is, we know with Star Trek they have impulse. Impulse is capable of effectively near light speed.
Yes.
So, yeah, so five, no argument on the sublight there.
Yeah, exactly. But when we get to FTL in our speed section, this goes a bit strange because they are. You must choose wisely here, Lee. See, I was going to go. Out of 5, I'm going to go for 3, and the reason I'm going to do that is because it's faster than warp.
Yep.
Which we've kind of, without showing too much behind the curtain for the audience, but we set warp, standard Starfleet warp at around about 2 in the FTL stakes. But it's definitely faster than that, and they have transwarp conduits, which are very much like jump gates.
Gates, exactly. So 3, I think it is.
So we've got to be looking at a 3.
We'll go on a 3, but what the divider here is, we're not acknowledging the transwarp you see in Voyager. We're just knowing that the Borg encountered Starfleet in Q-Who, and then suddenly showed up a season later. So somehow they got from there to there very quickly, but we're pretending we don't know how. So yes, you can have your 3 there.
Yeah,
definitely.
It is. Yeah, because that's the thing. They do actually say it's the same. Is it the same cube that we encountered in the Delta Quadrant? And they go, we think so.
Go unknown. However, its dimensions match it precisely.
Yeah, precisely, exactly. So yeah, you got to kind of acknowledge the fact that they did get from one point to another. So yeah, jump gate-y type affair, and I'd give that a 3. Now, when it comes to when it comes to maneuverability, this is a bit of a problem because they trundle around like flying bricks.
Yeah,
but there are moments in First Contact, for example, where they just suddenly can just change direction on a dime, because it's literally the ship has no front, and it's just like, oh, we're going this way now.
In First Contact, the grand amount that we see that ship move is it flies over camera in your classic Star Destroyer pose, and then it sits there. Now, it does move once in Best of Both Worlds,
yes,
where it kind of turns slowly to follow the Enterprise. But again, that's about the extent of its maneuverability we see.
I mean, in some ways, it doesn't need maneuverability because it's got 360-degree fire arcs.
Exactly, it's completely decentralized. There is no front or back.
So I would suggest that it's generally like a flying brick, but add in the fact that it doesn't have a front, it doesn't need a front. You'd add at least 1 for that and give it a 2, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I mean,
Yeah.
we never see it suddenly stopping and turning, but like you said, it doesn't have
Doesn't
to
need
go.
to. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. I'm happy giving you the 2 on the maneuverability.
Every side is a front.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is...
This is going well, isn't it?
It is.
It's working.
We
It's
do.
working.
Like this.
Yeah, stay on target. Anyway, right, okay, now we get to firepower. Okay, so we seen it destroy 39 ships and take not so much as even a scratch.
Yeah.
We've seen it also take on another 30 ships, which had time to prepare and still managed to sort of survive most of that encounter. Bullets, lasers, everything. It can do whatever it needs to do, and it can fire in multiple directions at the same time. It can cut holes in the Enterprise and go straight through the shields. They can beam hundreds of drones, if not thousands of drones, onto the ships, take them over. So I've got to be looking at, for firepower, I've got to be looking at 11.
Well,
You wish so.
Your problem there is that we said that 10 was one shot takes out a capital ship.
Yes.
We never see the Borg cube take out a capital ship with one shot.
It
always
takes
a few.
It takes a few shots every time. Even Wolf 359. Yes, they took on 39, but they've got to hammer. We see this again in First Contact. It's not a case of just bang, you're dead, bang, you're dead, bang, you're dead. It's come at me, bro, and hopefully I'm still standing at the end of it.
Well,
Yeah.
the point is that they take so much of a pounding that they
Yeah.
can take everybody else out but then you're onto defence, if you see what I mean.
Okay.
So I think we're probably looking at a 9 for that.
I'd say a 9, yeah, which is still significantly above what we're pegging the Enterprise D at.
Oh, yeah,
But,
for sure.
I think a 9, yeah.
Okay, fine. You know what? I'm not even going to argue that because you're right. I mean, 10 is taking out a capital ship in a single shot, but then I do know for a fact that, something like the Borg cube that you see in Q-Who literally just cuts through the shield and could have destroyed the Enterprise in a single shot, but it didn't.
Well,
It
to be
took
fair,
a
though, with
deep
that,
core out, didn't it?
It had to take the shields out first, which it did quite quickly. But
3
then
shots.
it was carving it up like a turkey. Yeah, I mean, if you carved up a warp core, it's going to explode. But is that the weapon doing it, or the ship blowing up because you've carved into the warp core?
Fair point. Okay, fine. I'll take a 9. Here we go. It's starting to rumble. We're getting some turbulence now. Okay, so
Stay on target.
So I'll take a 9. Okay, for defence now. Okay, I don't know where to even start with this. I mean, firstly, it's not very manoeuvrable. Fair enough. It's got shields. It's got the ability to disable shields. It can turn people's systems against them. It can disable the ship. It can drones can get on board and actually disable enemy ships. So, you can almost count it as an attack. So, I mean, as far as active defense is concerned, we've got proper, decent sort of abilities to just disable ships. We've got abilities to basically stop
I've
missiles.
got to say that I think so. With the defense, we've got active is one of the things. And I don't really think it has active because the Borg seems to be purely... its whole point is its mass and its regeneration ability. It's like it just absorbs punishment. It doesn't care about you shooting it. Shoot away. You're not getting through anything.
However, there's not wanting to pull the curtain back too far on their scoring system, but one of the things we've got down here is turning the enemy's weapons against them. Surely that's grabbing hold of, say, a really, really high-ranking captain and turning him into your strategic leader.
You can maybe argue that under special, but I think the intention with that was if you could hack into their computer remotely and detonate their own warp core or turn their missiles around at them. I don't think
Which they never do, yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think that is the intention of...
I think you definitely get points under special for this. But
under special, you can have some
active.
points there, but I think I think the whole point of the Borg is they have no active defense because they don't need it.
Okay, fair enough. I would, yeah. I mean, there is stuff about it on various apocrypha and various stuff that like being able to disable weapons and stuff. But
again, though, because we are being kind to you and ignoring Voyager.
Yes,
yeah.
And a lot of that stuff comes from Voyager, and
That's
you don't
true.
want to go down that path.
No,
Or down
I
that
don't.
way lies madness.
No, I'd rather take the 1 for active and just be done with it.
Oh, no, it's a 0.
Oh,
Are we
fuck,
giving it 1
yeah.
Peter, or is it 0? What do you reckon?
I mean, okay. I mean,
because they don't even have maneuverability.
No,
they don't.
They don't
Okay,
bother
fine.
dodging the shots.
Take a 0, but you're going to do well on special here.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Okay, so next we're up to passive. Now, passive defense is the
It's the
is the
shield in your
shields.
armor, basically.
And I would be honest to say that I think, well, anything that can basically take 80% worth of fucking damage and still keep going without any impact, I think that's pretty good for passive defense.
I got to say, yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
It's better than Trek shields, isn't it?
It is. And in fact, again, it's decentralized. There's no bridge you can shoot off. There's no engine core you can destroy, sort of thing. I mean, if you want to have a 5 for your passive defense, I'm happy to let you have it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think so, because I just
Unarguable, I think.
I just don't think you can cut any other ship up and leave 20% of it behind and see if it's still flying.
Yes.
I don't know.
We don't have a leg to stand on there. The whole point of a Borg cube is just pile on the punishment, and it's just going to walk away.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yes.
So cool, 5, nice. Hope someone's taking these down because I haven't been doing it.
Yes, I'm. Yes, I need a fancy title for this, but the person that writes the scores down is doing so.
Stato.
Right. Stato, yeah.
Yeah.
Stato, yes, I am Stato, master of scores.
So anyway, yeah.
Sound like a He-Man villain, don't I? He-Man.
Anyway, so for special defense, obviously special. We do have for special defense, we have the ability that the ship actually regenerates, and
And it regenerates very quickly.
and from 80% of complete and utter total damage, it could rebuild itself to 100%. So
Yes.
you basically need a corner of a Borg cube, of 100-yard space of the Borg cube could be left, and it could still keep going.
Now, to be fair, it's going to take it a while.
I'm not saying it's going to be quick. I'm just saying
Yes.
that as long as you...
I'm just letting the audience know it's not a case of if you've got the little corner here, you're still going to die. It's just if you left it alone and came back later, it's a bit like if you leave a sandwich in your car. If you leave it alone for a bit, you come back. There's more there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's,
it might not be good, but there's more there.
yeah, it's a chia pet, not fucking Minecraft. It's just, things will just grow on it eventually.
Yes.
So I'm asking for quite high on this. I'm asking for at least a 4 on this because I think the fact that it can steal. Oh, I wish this bloody thing stopped popping up. It can steal crew members and use them against
Yep.
the ship.
Yeah.
It can regenerate itself from almost scraps.
That's another point. Yep.
It can adapt and improve based on
Yep.
what you hit it with.
That's
Yeah.
3.
I'm happy
Yeah.
with that. Yeah,
So
sweet.
again, you fire a photon torpedo at it, you'll hit once, but you won't hit again.
Yep.
The
Lack of a bridge.
Yep,
I
the
think
lack
it's
of a
another point.
bridge.
I'm happy to
decentralisation.
give you the 4 because,
Yep.
Again, it's decentralized aspect and the whole point of, like you said, abducting the crew and absorbing that information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I think the only reason we're going to dock you one on this is because they keep. They've got cloaking. Well, I'm going to save that for crew basically, but yeah, it's things like cloaking devices. They don't make use of those because, to their mind, they don't have to. Also, they only ever send one ship, but again, that's probably more down to crew and stuff. But yeah, 4. I'm happy to give you that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, I'm feeling quite good about this. Right, okay. So, realization. Well, it's a fantastic model. I mean,
Yep.
it may not look like much when you see it initially because it's just a big grey box. But the thing is...
Well, you say that, but it was for Star Trek. It was such a weird thing. I mean, it
It was very
impact.
different. Yeah. And the model itself is actually well, okay. It's not terribly detailed because all they did is get model sprues and stick them all together. But there's a lot to look at.
Yeah.
One of the things in Voyager which really pissed me off was when they started using those armored cubes.
Oh, the tactical cubes.
Yeah, whatever they were, and they're shitty. It's just like yes, it's a block with smooth sides. But whereas the Borg cube, you get a sense that there's actually ships embedded on the exterior of it. It's like they've landed like a tree in the amber, and it's been absorbed into it. You get that sort of a sense there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the exterior realization I think is top notch.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the model work is superb. The model, I mean, it was so highly detailed they couldn't make it in CG easily because of just once you started getting too close to it, you needed to see that level of detail.
Yeah.
So
by the time you get to first contact as well, the lighting is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
That glow, the green
glow inside. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think for exterior, I've got to ask for a 4 easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Happy to give you that.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. And as far as the interior is concerned, well, when you do see it,
yeah.
See, it's a bit weird.
Depends where you're taking this now, doesn't it? Which story?
Well, the thing is, again, it's kind of anonymous corridors inside a massive ship.
Yeah.
But you also get that lovely shot in Best of Both Worlds when Picard's abducted and he's just standing in what looks like a humongous cavernous sort of interior, which just kind of...
That's a good shot. What's not...
That's a good shot.
It's when you have Riker and co trying to take him back again. And those are clearly... I mean, they're not bad sets, don't get me wrong.
It's clearly the soundstage.
Limited by the TV budget, aren't
Yeah.
they? If you're talking First Contact, on the other hand, you
yeah.
don't see an awful lot of the Borg cube in that, but what you do see is fantastic.
Yeah, but
Well, that
you also...
opening shot back from Picard's eye.
Yeah.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And also the lovely yet horrific detail of the fact that to make more Borg, they basically they kind of force grow children, implant the Borg elements.
They've got babies in drawers, basically.
Yeah, exactly, and have babies in drawers. I mean, it's just, as far as realization of that kind of interior, and it kind of tells a story of the ship as well, which not a lot of ships actually do. And it kind of...
I mean, it's very much representative of the people flying it.
Yeah.
You know?
But unlike something like Next Gen, where the Enterprise D, where you could literally just change the color of the lights and change the crew and say, "Oh, this is the USS Odyssey." You know, there's nothing to indicate that it's not the Enterprise, or it is the Enterprise, but just with different colored lights. Whereas something like the Borg, because it's all piled up and bits and pieces laid on. It's got that Nostromo feel of kind of like there's reasons for everything being there, and
I think that argument's a little bit shaky.
Yeah,
I'm just
particularly in Best of Both Worlds and Q Who, it didn't look in that good, believe me.
No, I mean all I'm trying to say is there's actually almost a narrative within the sets.
There is a sense that everything there has a purpose. I get that sort of thing. You know, it's like there's no carpets on the Borg cube.
No.
No, they don't go around going, velour seats.
But unlike Star Wars, they have plenty of safety rails.
Yeah, this is true, yes. Well, you know.
Well,
that's only for the visiting Starfleet crew members.
Clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like also the communication node things as well.
Yeah.
You see, and that they make the most of disrupting those.
Yeah,
that's quite clever. And the Borg alcoves are really, really good, particularly by the time you get to First Contact.
Yes,
very spiffy.
With those electronic lightning discs behind their heads.
Yeah,
gadget shop back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's not go down that route. Otherwise, we end up talking about Star Wars blood testers, which are really actually just spray painted epi ladies with a bit of Lego stuck on them. But there you go.
Definitely not go down that way, because when we get to the Nostromo, you won't have a leg to stand on.
No, that's exactly. Everything's made out of vacuum plastic and fruit cups,
coffee makers. Yeah,
coffee makers. Now, as far as
what are you aiming for?
So I'm aiming for a 4.
Oh, I think that's
a 3, and I'll tell you why I'll give it a 3. You score very highly for First Contact and that one shot in Best of Both Worlds. You know, the long one, but you lose for the other. You know, the other sort of the shitty gangway set. You know, with the 4 alcoves in it. It's just. Again, almost if you were going into Voyager, you might be able to claw the 4 because the sets are a lot more detailed.
Yeah, but I'd lose on everything else. I'd much rather lose the point on this.
So I'll give you 3.
Yeah, I think that's a wise move.
Okay, I'll take the 3.
Good man.
Okay. Now, science.
Ooh.
See, we're on all sorts of shaky ground here. I mean, in theory, there's a lot of stuff about hegemony and hive minds and all this kind
Trek
of thing.
generally tries to do science well.
Yes.
Generally. It tries to explain stuff. We know that.
And And they
It sometimes over-explains stuff.
Just a
But that's a different story.
Yeah.
But the thing with the Borg in Best of Both Worlds and Q-Who, and to a lesser degree First Contact, is that the way they do this is they basically try and explain the Borg ship and the way it works as like a massive flying computer. You have drones plugged into nodes, which is essentially PCs plugged into routers. The nodes are connected to the ship. The ship itself is like a server, and then that server is sitting on the internet, which is the Borg Collective.
Mm-hmm.
And they did this really just before the internet took off.
Mm-hmm.
So the concept behind the Borg, even if the science of like regenerating hulls and all that kind of stuff is a bit out there.
And how the fuck this thing is flying without any obvious engines,
with no
stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but then you know, we're in Star Trek land. I mean, really, do two glowing
Well, at
strip
least,
lights
but
actually
at least
fly
the Federation
things,
ships have engines and warp cores and things.
Yeah.
This just is a big box flying through space somehow.
Well, fair enough. I'll take that. I mean, as far as I was concerned, I was going to go for the science for about a 3.
That sounds fair.
Yeah.
Happy to give you the 3 on that
Cool,
one, yes.
cool. Okay, now we're into the fun part.
Ooh,
Crew first.
Crew. Yeah, crew. Now, first off, crew. We see this goes into crazy territory. I mean, we're talking like at one end, the word on the street, according to a number of wikis, was that the cube that turned up in First Contact was much bigger and had in excess of 100,000 drones.
Yes, I've got 130,000 on Memory Alpha.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And the one that was met at, in Q-Who, and presumably the same one in Best of Both Worlds, was down in the 5,000 range.
Oh, my life. Oh, really?
So that's where I have a bit of a problem. This is where Star Trek's inconsistencies do it no favours.
Got 130,000.
I'm happy to let you split the difference if you want and just go for the 9.
That wouldn't be splitting the difference, though, would it? I mean, because
on our scale, you can either have a 10 if we're going to 130,000 or an 8 if you go into 5,000. Split the difference and take the 9.
I mean, what do you think, Pete? Because I mean,
it's hard to say, isn't it? But I mean,
yeah,
I can't think of the problem. Is it would need to be a line of dialogue, wouldn't it? To back that up?
Well, the closest they get to it is the fact that when the Borg cube explodes in First Contact and it goes through the time warp, the Borg sphere is carrying a large majority of the crew, and they assimilate the Earth.
But no, it isn't taking a large majority of the crew, though. It's taking a small force which then start assimilating the Earth.
Oh, that's
because
true. Yeah.
they go over. The sphere is effectively a lifeboat. I think probably no more than half a dozen, because
no, it's bigger than that.
But if they had more than that, they'd have taken over the Enterprise like that. They wouldn't have needed to assimilate the crew. And every other Borg that they shot during First Contact was a Starfleet member.
Yeah. Shit. Okay, I mean, I'll tell you what. Then, for the sake of argument and time, I will take the 9. But I would have argued for a 10. But I'll take
The argument was noted. Now we come on to competence.
I mean, I don't think they're not forward thinkers. The Borg, they're reactors, and to be quite honest, I don't think they're going to get anything past a 3.
I was thinking. There's a song that comes to mind when I'm thinking of the Borg.
Go on.
It's Pinky and the Brain. It's Pinky and the Brain. Basically, they've got these great ideas. What are we going to do today, Brain? Same thing we do every year. Try to take over the world, and it just falls flat on their face.
But it doesn't. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken over the entire Delta Quadrant. And I'm not just quoting Voyager here. I'm quoting Next Generation with Guinan, who came from the Delta Quadrant.
If I can just dip my toe into the Delta Quadrant, the fact that Voyager survived shows that entire quadrant is full of fucking retards.
Well, yeah.
Let's ignore Voyager. Move away from Voyager.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but my point is, look, we've established this is a fantastically powerful and impressive ship manned by effectively a pure supercrew, pure intelligence,
Yes.
And every time it shows up, it trips over. Every time.
But it doesn't trip over. It gets defeated before it reaches its goal. Basically, it's the same as anything. If you put 1 trillion bricks in front of a truck, then the bricks aren't particularly strong by themselves, but they will stop that truck.
But the difference here is the truck is one of those massive quarry-side diggers, which, according to the stats, should just roll over those bricks.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about the ball crew themselves are essentially by themselves, one-on-one, they are they're zombies, essentially.
Oh, yeah, on their own, they are effectively...
But collectively, collectively, you don't want to be in a room full of them, because if you are, you're in trouble.
Well, no, you're not. If you're in a room full of them and you're not holding a gun, they're going to ignore you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, here you go. How many times did Riker and co just pop over for a cup of tea, steal some sugar?
Yeah, but as soon as they got identified as a threat, again, going to the computer thing...
Then they were in trouble.
Then they were properly in trouble.
No, then all of a sudden they start slowly walking towards them while they get shot.
No, they get shot once.
A couple of times, yes, and then they adapt with their shields. So
exactly.
Like that as well. What were you aiming for, Lee?
I was aiming for a 3, yeah, because
I think that's fair. They're mid-scale. So there's some things that are really good about them, but other things that result in them losing a lot. So
yeah, exactly.
I think mid-scale is... They're obviously not as incompetent as the Red Dwarf crew.
No.
They're theoretically quite competent, but plot devices ensure that they're always thwarted, so I'd go with a 3.
Yeah.
Okay. In the interest of time and good fortunes for future discussions, you can have your 3.
Well, thank you. So kind.
Fuck you very much.
Yeah, exactly. And so now we get to the fun
coolness.
one. The coolness. Now, I think as in universe, in a Trek, in the world of Trek where everything looks the bloody same. Everything's a big bunch of things stuck on a nacelle in just the same old configuration. Blah, blah, blah. You know, from Jemadar to...
You're not earning any friends here, you know.
No, but I'm just saying. This is illustrative. This isn't having a go at Star Trek. I do still have them on DVD and everything, so don't worry about that. I'm not throwing it under the bus. But I'm just saying that if you see 2 Federation ships or 2 Cardassian ships or 2 anything ships standing all next to each other, you could all say there's a lineage between them.
There's a basic set of rules they're following, yes.
And then
certainly.
You suddenly see a Borg cube.
And then the Borg cube is very different.
And
yes,
the Borg cube is utterly
Whether
different.
it's different cool, that's the interesting thing.
I think it is. I think it's very cool because it is... It's cool because it's unique, because it's distinctive, because it's interesting, and it's very...
Again, if we're saying up until first contact...
Yeah.
Which we are.
Much better chance of scoring higher here.
Yeah. I mean...
Because by the time it reached Voyager... Oh, it's the Borg again.
Well, it was on shaky ground at first contact. It managed to pull it through, but it fell off the cliff after that because we'd had Descent and and I know that's not the cube, but it was the Borg as a whole.
Yeah, that pissed on the Borg a bit as well. Yeah.
Well, exactly. But Descent, and is another thing which was quite interesting because it was like when they tried to do it again, what they came up with was another standard-looking Trek ship. It's like. So to me,
that is a rubbish ship. That one is
terrible. The one in the one in those. Yeah, that's just horrible.
It's like those wooden blocks you have as a kid, sort of thing. You have to rewrite. It's like someone just stuck a load of those together and painted it silver.
Yeah,
with blue tack. Yeah.
Yes.
But again,
anyway, let's not dwell on Descent.
No, but
what do you want then? What do you want?
I mean, it's not the coolest ship ever. I'm not going to sit there and say that if I had that sitting beside like the Normandy, which is coming up, or like the Executor, which is coming up, I'd go. I definitely want the Borg cube because it's a box.
It's a cube.
It's a box, exactly. But I think within the universe it's seen in, I think it's a threatening cube, and it's implacable shape and size.
Why am I fighting your battles for you? Oh,
because
you cunning man chose a Star Trek ship.
Exactly. I'm not.
It's my kryptonite. This is.
Yeah.
Well played, Maker. Well played.
Don't worry, dude. It's going to go the other way for Andy in a second. But So I think I'm not going to go for super cool. I think it's kind of a middling cool ship. I definitely think there's coolness to it. I would ask for a 5.
You know what?
I would have gone for a 6.
I was going to say I'll throw you a bone. I'd say a 6.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there you go. I'm not going to turn down points. I'll take that.
Yes. I think it's cool because again, Q-Who I think is when the Borg cube is its coolest. I mean, Best of Both Worlds, fantastic episode. First contact is go. But it's Q who. It's when the Enterprise is running away from him, and they zoom in and you see it regenerating, and then Q's next to him and goes, "What are you going to do now? You've thrown the best you have at it." And it keeps coming. It's relentless. It's never going to stop. And that sends a shiver down your spine. That bit does, and I think that's plus
the mad guitarist from Star Trek: The Motion Picture had reappeared in the soundtrack as well.
Yes.
Bow, bow, yes. But
I'm happy to give you the 6 for coolness. I think that's more than fair.
If you, do you know what? I'll take it. I'll be happy with that. I wasn't counting on it, but yeah, cool. So. There you go. So, how did it do?
Oh well, if I can just link to the collective briefly and download the data, the Borg cube scored a mighty 67.
67?
Yes, it scored exceptionally highly in with firepower and crew effectively. Oh, and size. It's the staples. It's big.
Yeah. Well, there you go. In with a bullet at number 1.
Wait. Has Space Jury proved another actual fact here? Bigger is always better?
No.
Give it time.
Give it a moment, because we're about to go even bigger.
Oh, yes, this is true.
We'll see how it figures out by the end of this one.
Yes, it's true. Yes, very true. Yes. Next we have Darth Vader's pimped out ride.
Yeah. So, there you go, 67. Nice.
Yes. Impressive, sir. Well done.
Impressive.
Although I still would argue that the crew is about as competent as the Red Dwarf one.
No, I doubt that. Very, very much. Cool. Okay, well, there you go. That's the first test of our new trans-warp scoring system. And
if everything ties in the high 60s, we know we've just moved the problem up.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the test will be the Normandy, if I'm honest, because that'll be the moment when we go for a ship that's smaller and see where it figures. 67 points, and that's that. Woo! And so, while I smugly sit back with my first ever proper win.
Ah, yes. Smug mode. Of course, the night is still young.
Well, yes, admittedly, and I did have a thought. If the Normandy was next, I was just going to go 1, 1, 1, 1 for all of my ship.
I am the buffer between your anger and Andy.
Yes, exactly. But let's not dwell on that just yet.
Yes, that comes later.
Yes, no, my anger, you will bathe in it. So let's move on to the ISD Executor. So over to you, Pete.
Okie dokie. So yes, as Andy said, Vader's pimped out ride. How do you outdo the beginning of Star Wars, as we always called it back in the day, with that wonderful opening shot of the Imperial Star Destroyer going overhead, chasing the old tiny little blockade runner? Well, the way you outdo it, of course, is to create an even bigger Imperial Star Destroyer for Empire Strikes Back. Darth Vader's command ship, the Star Destroyer Executor class, Star Dreadnought class, Super Star Destroyer. It's got 1 billion names on the internet that I discovered. It was all designed to give the Empire Strikes Back a bit more wow than Star Wars. And it literally puts the other Star Destroyers in the shade, because when they pass underneath, it all goes black. 17 kilometres long, 11 miles in old money, according to Wikipedia. It's varied a lot in source material books for the various RPGs and ILM published guidebooks. I think we referenced this in the past, but now we have an established canon length on the basis that it reflects the original model maker's intentions.
The bridge sections on the Super Star Destroyer are supposed to be the same as all the normal Star Destroyers. That's how you know.
Yeah. Initially commanded by Admiral Ozzel, a.k.a. Mr. Bronson.
But he failed me for the last time.
He was indeed fatally fired by Vader and Empire.
Yeah. There was no golden handshake, was there? Let's be honest.
No. Clearly Vader was no Grange Hill fan. Yeah. And Admiral Piet took over and did a better job until that A-Wing splattered his brains across the command deck. See you! We have a crew of 280,000. apparently rude.
All of a sudden, our crew calculations seem like they might need revising.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we introduced this one just before we did the really big ships, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apparently, there's also room for transporting 38,000 troops as well.
Yeah.
The queue for the loo must have been pretty long, I can't help feeling.
That's the whole back section.
Yes.
It's basically the toilet block from Glastonbury.
Imagine being human resources on an Imperial Star Destroyer. Oh man, what a job!
Yeah,
you want your holiday when? It carried TIE fighters of various designs, along with AT-ATs and AT-STs. You've got 13 engines. Well, loads of engines, blinding amount of engines.
Yep.
5,000 weapon emplacements, including turbo lasers, concussion missile launchers, and ion cannons. And I like the fact that, by the way, there's a sidebar in Force Awakens, you get to see these things a bit closer up than you ever did in the original Star Wars. So, I mean, I know that they're not quite the same as Imperial Star Destroyers, but they're much the same, aren't they? Yeah. But yeah, those wee turrety things are quite clever, so I like that stuff.
On what's his name's Ren's new Star Destroyer thing.
The Vindicator.
Yeah.
There you go, yes.
Yeah. And basically, it's very impressive. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, perhaps slightly less so.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, that was a very impressive explosion.
Yeah, well, it's certainly, yes. A nosedive into the Death Star. It's what a way. If you're going to go with a bang.
I was going to say it did a perfect swan dive. It actually would have put Tom Daly to shame.
It's true. Yeah. it's the sound as well as it goes down. It's just.
Yeah, I mean, I loved these ships as a kid. They're not my favourite Star Wars ship, but they're certainly up there. And just the fact that the sheer amount of detail they crammed into the models, just with the standard Star Destroyers, and then with the Executor even more so. I mean, it's more than a floating city. It's practically it's obviously not planet size, but it's huge, absolutely crazily huge. I'm not so keen on the bridge, it has to be said.
Really? I wonder why that is.
Yeah, the placement does seem a tad stupid.
Why do people insist on putting bridges? You see, with a Pegasus, you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
you may as well built it into a big bullseye, basically.
I suspect they did this just to appease you, Peter. They're like, "Oh, we got to make sure you can see where the bridge is."
See the bridge. Stick it right on the outside on the end of a big pole. You can't miss
a big neon sign saying,
"This is the bridge." Yes.
Well, if I may put on my Star Wars nerd hat for 1 second, my visual effects nerd hat.
Take off the N7 one. On goes
yes, I just for a second, I'm covering up the N7 and hoping that Commander Shepard doesn't see. But the reason for the bridge being where it was on the Star Destroyer and the Super Star Destroyer was because the design ethic of both was that of an aircraft carrier. And so the idea was that your post was kind of way above the ship that rolled out behind you. And so you had a sort of view all around. Whether or not that was how it was represented eventually, because they only had a window at the front. But the point was it was supposed to be a con tower.
So it gave him the best view of the fighters they were launching.
Exactly.
Well, it would, though, because the fighters launch from the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, they do. Look, I'm not saying it's a perfect example. I'm just saying that was the idea behind it.
Someone somewhere missed the memo.
I mean, if we're being generous, I think this probably represents the arrogance of the Empire, doesn't it? It's like we can't.
If I could borrow from our very own catchphrase, impressive but rubbish.
Yes, in this case, definitely arrogant but rubbish.
Yes.
I also like the signature big. I presume there's some sort of sensor dome things that sort of sit on top of the bridge.
They are actually shield domes.
The shield generators, aren't they?
Oh. Well, yeah, there's a bit of discussion about that online, but yeah, it could be the shield generators because there's a line about making sure that the bridge is properly shielded.
All right. Back when we used to play X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, back in the day. That's where you had to destroy those globes to knock the shields out, so you could then destroy.
Ah, interesting.
I mean, okay, I don't know if that's going to count here for the games, but you do see that in Jedi. It's dome gets blown up, and then he goes, "Sir, we've lost our bridge deflectors. Intensified our forward batteries. I don't want anything getting through."
Yes, because it does get. You see it get blown up that bit get blown up in on one of the ships in in Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so there you go. That's that sorted.
Yeah,
in your face, Wikipedia.
Well, yes, because Wikipedia is quite definite about them being sensor domes. But there we go. Let's not.
Once again, please direct all your hate mail to facebook.com/space.jury.
Well, actually, can I just interrupt and just do my one name drop?
Yes.
Okay, just pick this one up when it hits the deck. But when I went out for dinner with Lucasfilm, they actually told me, the representatives there told me that they have on Friday morning a thing where they sit down and they go through the new entries of Wikipedia just for a laugh.
Yeah,
and that's their Friday morning coffee break. Basically, they sit down and go through all that and go, "Oh, what have they made up today?" And essentially that's their thing. So from the horse's lips to your ears, Wikipedia is not to be trusted at all.
Funny that. Shall we rate this thing then?
Yes.
Yes, let's do this. Second test. Well, I mean...
Well, size I think is pretty easy here.
13.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Unarguably.
Unarguably 13 for the size.
Yes. Then things get hazy.
A little bit, yes.
Sublight speed. What the hell are we putting this down as?
It's... this is usually my wheelhouse, isn't it? This is effectively a flying brick.
It is.
And let's be honest.
Get no sense of them travelling.
And TIE fighters forever. I mean, you see the Falcon literally running past and accelerating away from it.
Yeah, with little or no effort before even going up to full light speed.
So are we saying sublight across the system in years or months? That's what I couldn't decide.
I'd reckon probably days. I mean, I reckon it could probably get across.
Yeah.
Do you reckon days?
Yeah, because you know it's more. The way I always get the sense with Star Destroyers is that they're very good over short distances in sort of relativistic speeds, but anything big between planets or anything, they just go straight to light speed. It's kind of their default travel. So I don't get the feeling that they're particularly fast. But they're just kind of average speeds.
I can't see it taking them. Oh, maybe it could take them, because again, when they arrive at Hoth, he brought us out of light speed too close to the system. If he felt that surprise was the way to do it, otherwise it would take him too long to get there. Maybe it is months.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's 2, isn't it?
I think it is.
Okay.
God. Okay. Yeah. The sound of 1,000 Star Wars fans gnashing in horror.
Yes.
Here we go.
FTL.
Yeah.
Where are you pitching for your FTLs?
Well, is it warp or is it jump gates?
I think it's free. I think you're jump gating because you're hyperspacing here, aren't you?
Yeah.
But you're travelling through
some space,
so you're not instantaneous. Yeah. You're going in the blue swirly thing alert.
Yeah, the opening credits of Doctor Who. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing, isn't it? It's just your engines are powering up and driving you through a shortcut.
Yeah.
So I think a 3 is probably about right.
Jolly good. Maneuverability.
Let's see you argue this.
Well, on the basis they crash into each other on a regular basis, it seems.
Yeah.
I think we're talking flying bricks here.
Yes.
1.
Yeah, I think even the 1's generous at some point.
Yeah, I was going to say triangular bricks, but bricks nonetheless.
Yeah, I think a 1 definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go.
Then we move on to firepower. Interestingly.
Okay, this is
this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So, what was I going for?
Yeah, I was going to say, give us what you're going for, because I think I've got a thought in my head, but I'll let you pitch it.
One shot takes out a capital ship. Do we think it gets as highly as that?
No.
So, therefore, we're looking less than 10. From here on inwards, then, it's definitely more. I would say it's more powerful than the White Star, which we rated at 8. So I think we're looking for a 9.
I wouldn't.
No.
No.
I mean, it's got lots of weapons.
Yep.
But none of them are even enough to take out a fighter.
Yeah. Look at A New Hope.
Well,
when it's attacking
fighter.
when it's attacking the blockade runner. I mean, it's a smaller Star Destroyer ship.
Yep.
But they're trading blows backwards and forwards, and they're scoring hits. And the worst it does is blow up a radar dish.
Yeah, but that's the ISD. I mean, that's not a full blown.
And arguably, they were probably under orders not to blow it up because they needed to capture the people, the crew.
But yeah, but even so, I'm establishing is I think your baseline Star Wars weapons going from what we see on the screen. So, because again, you've got to remember, all your lovely expanded universe, all your books, all your games, they don't count no more.
They're all legends.
It's legends, yes.
Yeah.
You woke up in a cold sweat in your bed. It was a fever dream. None of it ever happened.
Yeah, Bobby steps out the shower and everything goes back to normal.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I would have said, I would have aimed for a sort of 7. I mean, because we put the Defiant around about that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And the Defiant has the similar kind of thing. It has weapons that fire a lot, but they weaken shields. They don't damage the ship. And repeated firing will damage the ship. And for all of the Super Star Destroyer's firepower, there's whole scenes in Return of the Jedi of X-Wings flying over the bloody thing and getting shot at.
It's difficult to know how much of that is inaccuracy of the Imperial gunners and actual inadequacies of the weapons.
Don't worry, we'll get to the crew.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I you know what? If you want to give it a 7, Lee, I'd reluctantly relent, but I'd be actually more a 5.
No, I mean, let's not forget the volume over the course of this. I mean, we don't.
How many guns?
Oh, so we're going for quantity over quality.
Well, yeah. If you fire a million pins at someone, they're still going to bleed to death.
That's a fair point. I wasn't considering the sheer number of wimpy water pistols the thing could fire.
Yeah, I mean,
inaccurate.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I treat it like the Defiant. I mean, it's got weak weapons on their own, but the sheer amount of the fucking things. I mean,
Well, we didn't say about the Defiant was a floating weapons platform. A Star Destroyer is got to be likewise.
Exactly.
All right. Well, 7. I'm happy to give you the 7 then.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
There you go.
Defense. Okay, so active. I hadn't got a clue on this, I must admit, looking into it. I mean, there is that reference to the forward batteries being...
Yeah. They can use their cannons as point defense.
So that makes it a 4.
It's got a fair few fighters, which presumably can be mustered to go off and defend it. So
Yep. Yeah,
so
I mean,
I
think a 4 for active defense is pretty fair for something like that.
It's so hard because the thing does crash and burn badly in Return of the Jedi.
Well, yeah, I was going to say when we get to your shields, we might have a bit of a
quite.
Yeah.
Passive. It has shields.
Yeah,
but they're shit.
They're shit. We said was a 3, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. Shit shields 3. Yeah, that's right. I can see it on the scoreboard. Yeah. So for active, I think 4's fairly on the money, to be honest.
The only thing with special, I would say, is just its fuck off massive nature should mean, rather like the Borg cube, that it can absorb an awful lot of damage.
I happen to have on-screen proof that that's not the case.
Yes. Thanks to the ship crashing into the bridge, yes. So we're 0 to 1 on this one, basically.
Yeah.
So on... so what are we saying on the passive end? 3, yes?
Passive shit shields.
Shit shields. And then special is... I think you got 0.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, again, I would say the one thing it has, which we keep forgetting with a lot of these ships, is tractor beams. And that was the whole thing with the Millennium Falcon, was that they had to get away and hyperdrive away before the tractor beams fired up and locked it in place. And then
but it says they have to do it before it's in range, while it's flying along that little gap between it. I mean, if that's not in range,
no, that's just because of the size of the thing. That's the old, that's the old. You're looking at something that's 17 kilometers long, and then right next to it is something that's like 200 feet across. Oh, look! It looks like it's really close. No, it's very far away, but very big.
So you're saying these cows are small, but those in the field are far away.
So I get a point for tractor beams. Is that?
Yeah, I would say so.
Excellent. That sounds me in good stead later on for Star Trek ships.
Because the other thing I was going to say was the one thing you would definitely lose on for passive weapons is the fact you have a massive, colossal hangar underneath the thing that anything can just fly into and smash into and blow up.
Yes, Phantom Menace springs to mind on that front. But yeah.
Oh, I've got a massive hole in my shield, in my armor defense
that some kid can fly into and blow you from the inside out.
Exactly. Oh, being blown from the inside. No, anyway.
But no. As the bishop said to the actress, let's move on. Cool. Now we're on slightly more confident territory. Realization, because this is a wonderful, wonderful model.
Yeah.
Exterior-wise, I can't think of too many that are nicer than this one. So I'm asking for a 5, folks.
And you'd get it.
Not even going to attempt to argue that.
ILM's finest.
Shot Empire when it's casting that shadow over the entire fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if the model does apparently feature a model soldier. Which I couldn't make out myself, but there was apparently somebody's found out that one of the little detail things they've added is some plastic model soldier.
Oh, there's tons of those. If you look at the Millennium Falcon, it's got car gearboxes around the side of it and little bits and pieces.
If you look at the mothership from Close Encounters, it's got R2-D2 stuck to the underside of it. I mean, there's all that sort of stuff on there. I can't think.
Most VFX model makers and stuff like that are geeks like us. They love little Easter eggs and stuff like that, and little, they'll never spot this.
My favorite Easter egg for Empire Strikes Back, just to change the subject very slightly and geek out, is in the asteroid scene. One of the asteroids.
Throws a potato.
No, not a potato. The potatoes are well known, but the one is actually John Dykstra's plimsoll.
Hey,
there you go.
Shoe is a star.
Exactly. A Converse, apparently. But it was white. Right. It was white and it was oddly shaped when they scrunched it up, so they just left it as a distance object.
Okay, so that's exterior. Nice. Interior, we don't see an awful lot of the interior. As I said, we see the bridge.
Yes.
We see...
It's the same set as the other one, but it's still a nice enough set.
It still is a nice set with that nice sort of pitted bit where you've got the crew below the officers, which is quite nice. And you also get to see Darth Vader's room thing.
Personal sauna.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just
built-in hot tub.
Slight sidebar here for those who are into Kenner Star Wars figures. The Imperial Star Destroyer set.
Yes, I had that.
Did that look anything like what you saw in the film?
No,
bizarre lump of plastic, wasn't it?
It was just a frame. It was like someone that got half-assed and they stuck the gun turret from the beginning of Star Wars, where it goes, oh, that's another one. Oh, hold your fire. It's probably just a misfire.
Yeah,
they just stuck that in the front window.
And called it a Star Destroyer. I was like, what the heck?
And it had... that was just a mess, that thing.
Yeah.
It's a hot mess of shit. Anyway.
So you don't see a lot, but what you do see is nice sets. So I'm going for midway here with a 3.
See, I would have given you a 4.
Ooh,
yeah, I'll give you the 4. Yeah. Star Wars, by and large, the sets were spot on. I mean, you can't really, the production design, all that's fantastic. And there is a connection between where the bridges and the ship, on the models themselves, they make little bridge windows, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
you don't see a lot of it, but what you see, I mean, just Star Wars in general, it's same with Ridley Scott stuff. You can't argue with a production design.
Yeah, it's kind of designed and over-designed up the wazoo. So I'm not gonna argue any of that. I'd say a 4, easy.
Yeah,
very good. And then the science.
Ooh.
Yes,
it obeys the laws of gravity. Because we can see it come crashing down.
Yes, but why is there gravity in space?
Well, the Death Star, you see,
it's
so
the massive
big.
Death Star.
It has a gravitational field, so therefore it comes crashing down. That I think you can argue that. I'm asking for a 1.
Yeah, the thing is, though, I have seen somewhere someone did calculations and they worked out that the resources... I mean, the problem is with the Super Star Destroyer, you've already got something bigger in the Death Star. But the resources to make the Super Star Destroyer were so massive, it would bankrupt multiple planetary economies.
And probably use up the resources of at least 2 planets.
Yeah, it's very much a case of the fairies.
And we didn't really get round to what was actually fueling those 13 massive engines.
Massive engines, yeah.
Yes, exactly. I think it's a bloke shoveling Ewok's corpse into it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd love to believe that was the case.
Yes.
I love the smell of burning Ewok in the morning.
Yeah, it was an entire farm of Gungans being pushed into the back, into the
He
furnace.
said, make this go fast.
Yeah, means are useful.
Well, to be fair, if you were Anakin Skywalker and that was your personal ride, I think I'd make a point of feeding him Gungans into the fucking thing.
Yes.
On a conveyor belt.
Yes. That's why you never saw them in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh, guns.
Yeah. Misa, boosa, blah, blah, blah. I'll get in the fucking furnace. I need to go a little bit faster. Yeah. No.
So we go with a 1 with science.
I think 1, and that's being generous.
That is being generous, yes.
Okay, on to crew, where we get a bit better with the numbers of crew anyway.
Yeah.
Now, are we counting what it launched with, or by the time Vader had finished choking them?
Yeah, because it can either be a 10 or a 1.
Yeah, he goes through a lot here, doesn't he?
He does, certainly officers, definitely. We're told we've got a minimum of 50,000 crew, so that's a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But on
skill level.
When it comes to competence, yes.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, there is, it's quite a tried and tested method for getting rid of officers who aren't up to grade. But beyond that, they're clearly not. They can't shoot for shit, can they?
No.
I would argue they're not as bad as the Red Dwarf crew, but I suspect few people will be. So I'm going for a 2 on skill.
Ooh.
I'll give that. I mean, at least the ship flies in a straight line.
Exactly.
It just sits there.
They've had some training for starters. They're not all chicken soup repairmen.
No. I think, yeah. I think
we just set the bar for 1 too low with Red Dwarf.
Yes, possibly. Scale of 1 to 5, but never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2 is about right because I mean Vader kind of raises the average.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose, yeah. Vader on his own drags them up to a 2.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Cool. And then we're into coolness.
Woof. This is going
It's
to
a
be an
nice ship.
interesting one.
I mean, it's possibly not as easily recognisable as the standard Star Destroyer in terms of its profile, but it's still roughly the same sort of shape. It's and at the size, obviously, it adds a few points. The stupid bridge placement takes a point off, definitely. The fact that it crashed and burned in return.
Wait, whoa.
Yeah.
Are you, Peter Organ, taking points off because you can see where the bridge is?
Yes, because it's in a stupid fucking place.
What have you done with the real Peter?
Yeah. To be quite
He's
honest,
a pod person.
Yeah.
A pod person.
yeah.
Okay.
To
Seeing where the bridge is one thing. Sticking it on a giant pole so any fucker can shoot the bastard, that's just stupid.
And then sticking your shield generators on top of that.
Yes. So, best I think I can go for on this one is a 7.
What do you think, Andy? I mean, I like it. I
I'd
think
have
it's
given
a
him an 8, to
very.
be
Yeah,
honest.
I would have given him an 8.
I like the Super Star Destroyer. It is, like I said, it's Vader's pimped up Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
It's like he drove it into Exhibit's place, whatever. He goes, "Yo, dog, I heard you like Star Destroyers, so we put a Star Destroyer in your Star Destroyer."
Yeah. and it practically is as. Do you know what? As much as you make the much about the Lord Vader theme, the Imperial March. The Imperial March gets played more when you see the Super Star Destroyer than when you see Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. It's a ship that has pretty much got its own theme tune.
Well, it is, and again, when it's the opening shot, the first time you see it, we knew the Star Destroyers were big,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you got this shadow creeping across the first one,
And as it
and
does
then you
that,
see all these other ones have been done, and then it just zooms out, and it's just like, the fuck is that?
yeah, dun 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 dun.
I mean, just for the theme song
Just
alone,
the theme tune, that adds
the
a point
theme
back
tune
on.
alone.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
great.
it pretty much is marching along, going, "I am a fucking big spaceship." Dum dum dum. It's like, yeah, I've come here to fuck up your day. Yeah, I'd give it an 8.
Yeah.
Definitely. Cool.
Cool.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Well, and the dust has settled on
It
the...
has.
Wow. Right, go for it. And you know what's really interesting is we're actually, a lot of the time, we're actually trying to big each other up now. And we're not actually trying to knock
It's
them
all
off.
right, I'm up next. That'll end then.
No, no. You're getting 10s across the board.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, you've
Okay.
nobbled
Anyway,
the judges.
let's try and tally this up before Lord Vader comes in and force chokes me. So what do we give the Executor? Okay, if my calculations are correct, and I believe they are, the Executor scores 62.
62. Putting it in at number 3. There you go.
It's not bad going.
It's not bad going. It's good. It's good. Unfortunately, that pushes Thunderbird 3 straight off the table. Never mind. Thunderbird 3, we hardly knew you.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at this. You got Thunderbird 3, and it's just gone up against the Executor.
Well, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to do well, I'll be honest with you. Even the most ardent Thunderbirds fans got to kind of bow over and go, well, okay, fair enough. Oh, well, congratulations there, Pete.
Thank you.
I think you did better than you actually had a right to, because I thought...
I was certainly better than I was expecting, yes.
Yes.
My abiding memory of the Executor is that nosediving in Return of the Jedi. If you just had Empire Strikes Back, I'd been going for 100, believe me.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's true. If we left it at that, you'd have been fine. But alas, we can't give you the leeway we gave Lee with Voyager.
No. No. It's all or nothing with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Except for the bits which would have said are not canon. So, yes.
And the prequels.
And the prequels.
Anyway, move on.
And the prequels, yes.
Right, I've decided. Actually, I'm not letting you do this. I'm not.
You got to.
No, I'm sorry. I can't let you do this. I cannot have this be represented by you. I can't have it. No. It needs to be...
I am assuming direct control.
So, the Systems Alliance Space Vehicle Normandy Stealth Reconnaissance 1 was a Systems Alliance starship. She is a prototype Deep Scout frigate, first of the Epinus Normandy class, co-developed by the Alliance and the Turian hierarchy, with sponsorship by the Citadel Council. She's optimized for solo reconnaissance missions deep within unstable regions using state-of-the-art stealth technology powered by an experimental drive core. Commissioned in 2183, which I think is about the same time Archer was off doing his Enterprise-y stuff, the Normandy was initially commanded by an Alliance officer named Eli Xander, but after Xander got into a fight with some Turians, she was taken over by David Anderson. Shortly thereafter, the Normandy was handed over to Commander Shepard, when the commander became the first human Spectre. I would at this point say the rest is, as they say, history, but I'll just go into some of the details of the Normandy herself. The Normandy is equipped with an IES, or Eternal Emission Sink, which is a stealth system. It's her most notable feature. This allows her to trap all the heat that her shipboard operations emit to near absolute zero background. It makes her effectively invisible to all sensors and, pretty much anything other than looking out the window. You can't see her. The stealth system is powered by an experimental piece of equipment called the Tantalus Drive Core, which is proportionally about twice the size of any other ship's drive systems and cores. It also allows the ship to run quiet, fast, but she can maintain FTL speeds for twice as long as other ships before having to discharge the drive. Like all frigates, the Normandy is equipped with Guardian point defense lasers, kinetic barriers, and a spinal mass accelerator, which can accelerate a ferrous slug to 1.3% light speed. It's equipped with advanced Javelin disruptor dual torpedoes. These are capable of punching through an unshielded Reaper. She's 175 meters long and has a standard crew complement of 52. That's not counting all the aliens which Shepard recruits during the course of his adventures. As far as the design of the ship goes, when they were designing Mass Effect 1, they went through many different ideas of what they wanted the ship to be. They looked at fighters, freighters, and so forth before settling on a frigate. It's a nice sort of thing. Personally, I think she's a little small for a frigate. I'd have classed her more as a corvette myself, but far be it for me to say. They took design inspiration from things like Concorde and fast Delta Wing fighters. Some of the early concepts drew on the F-14 from Top Gun with those engines. She's got vectored engine nacelles, so she just kind of looks cool when she comes into land. There's all this braking stuff. There's lots of little bits moving on the ship, which I really like. She kind of hunkers down when she's going to go for a mass relay for FTL speed. And yes, that's the Normandy 1, my first love. Unfortunately, cut down in her prime by the collectors at the beginning of Mass Effect 2. But a fantastic sequence nonetheless.
In 2 shots.
It was more than 2 shots, my friend.
It was 2 shots.
I have just played Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
And while we're on the subject of it, let us point out, without spoiling things for people who haven't played it, the collectors were the second most powerful race in the known galaxy at that point. Shall we rate this mofo?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, well, size, as always, is a fairly easy one. We can quantify that because we have numbers here. And she is 175 metres long, which I believe
is a 4.
It's a 4. Don't think anyone can argue on that.
Nope, not going to argue on that.
Nope.
Just for reference, though, for future, the Normandy 2 is 230 metres. She is twice the mass.
And also the thing you missed out is that Normandy 1 has 3 decks, while Normandy 2 has 5.
Normandy 1 also has the slowest elevator in known history.
You don't. No, that's about as far as I got on the game.
Yes. You know what? I want to pop down to the engine room, maybe buy some new weapons sort of thing. Oh, wait, no, I can't because it's going to take me... I used to say, you know what we need to do? We need to get Elton onto the Normandy.
Well, actually, yeah. But actually, what I will say, and this is just going way off topic for a second, but I'm playing it on my PC at the moment, and I've got an SSD drive that it's installed on, and those lifts seem to go remarkably quickly.
Well, they were meant to be there to let you load the game without having loading screens, weren't they?
Yes, exactly. And I find I just click the door, and it just goes, and it's done.
Yeah.
So there you go. Play it on the PC, people. There you go.
Play it on the PC with an SSD.
Yeah.
Top tip.
Top tip. Anyway, carry on.
So, speed. So, let's see. We got Sublight first.
Right. I mean, this is interesting because, oh, pardon me, this is where it all gets a bit wonky with Mass Effect. It can do FTL pretty much everywhere.
Yes.
So it doesn't really trundle along outside of faster than light. It kind of drops in and out. It's a bit like the Star Destroyers. It kind of trops in, flies about a bit, and then goes back to FTL whenever it needs to. Whenever it needs to cover distance. Although we do see the
Normandy, because she's capable of entering a planet's atmosphere and stuff like this, and manoeuvring. She's quite a maneuverable ship. We'll get to that in a second. But we do see more of that for the Normandy. I mean, when she's in, so she effectively will FTL into a. So you use the mass relays to get to a cluster. Or a nebula, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then once you get there, you FTL to the various systems around that cluster, what have you. But then when you're in the systems and all this, you are trundling backwards and forwards in sublight, I'm assuming, at those points. Because you only get the nice little cut scene of the ship, 45-degree angle with the blues and reds, which looks very pretty, when you're going between systems, not inter systems.
Yes.
So I would say on the sublights, I think we could want to say it's up to light speed.
I mean, I would agree with you. The only thing I would say is in the first cutscene.
Yes.
The first cutscene ever in the whole game.
When Nihilus is, when Shepard's making his way up to the thing, and
and the music's playing.
Nihilus is chatting to Joker and Alenko.
Exactly.
What the fuck is Alenko doing up there anyway? He's not rated to be on the fucking.
Don't question it. Basically, they actually say that they'll be in Eden Prime while in stealth in a number of hours. They don't actually travel to planets as fast as it looks like on the map.
Well, that's a given. I mean, again, we've come across this in animations and all this. The limitations of a format the thing is delivered in.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I don't think it actually travels around inside a solar system without the FTL on. I don't think it goes up to light speed. I don't think it ever does.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what then. In the interest of fairness, I'll go for the 4.
Because it does, because literally they land, they come out of the system into Eden Prime, and they're like, "Oh, we'll be there in a couple of hours."
Yeah.
And it's only when it all goes wonky in Eden Prime that suddenly they go back to FTL and just warp straight in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit like the Enterprise. It kind of trundles along until it really needs to floor it, and then it goes to a completely different drive.
No, fair enough. I'm happy with the 4 there.
Yeah. Okay.
So then FTL. Now this is where we get a little bit technical and complicated, don't we? Because
yeah, Pete's probably just turned his mic off and just gone home at this point.
yeah.
Don't worry, I'll be
just go and find a picture of Miranda Lawson, mate. You'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you thank us later.
Okay, so
right.
so effectively, for those who don't realise, in Mass Effect, the mass relays are a network of, in effect, jump gates, allowing travel between themselves. So you can jump from one relay to another relay to another thing, but it's not like Babylon 5, where there is a warp space or a hyperspace or something like that, is it? It's just you're effectively fired from one to the other. It's like a point-to-point thing.
Exactly. But it's not quite as fast as point-to-point.
It's what, sorry?
It's not quite as fast as point-to-point.
It's not quite as fast as point-to-point, no. We're not kind of instantaneous travel there. And again, you still need to have a Mass Effect core to be able to use them. You know, you couldn't have a shuttle access a mass relay.
Yeah, it's a bit like having a magnet on a mag rail, isn't it? You've got it, and then once you've got the force going the right way, it will just propel. It will propel between 2 points.
Yes,
but the 2 points have to exist.
The 2 points have to exist. You have to have a relay at the other end. I mean, it is capable of independent faster than light, but that's not as fast. You know, it. Whereas the FTL relays, the Mass Effect relay, you can do it in a matter of hours, what have you. Doing it the old-fashioned way would take you a couple of weeks.
Right, okay, so what are you pitching for on this then?
I'm pitching for a 3, and I'm pitching that on the basis as it can use the networks, but the ship itself is fitted with a drive to allow it to use the networks.
Yeah, that's fine. I'd go with a 3. I wouldn't. I mean, I was going to say, if there was some sort of gradation between 3 and 4, I'd let you have that, but, no.
But we've said all along, we ain't doing no fucking half points.
Yeah, no half points.
It's complicated enough as it is.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So, that's a 3 for you.
And then maneuverability. She's pretty fucking maneuverable during the Battle of the Citadel. You see her doing her loops and swirls and flying around and all that. I don't think she's quite as maneuverable as a White Star.
No, she doesn't turn on a dime. She still has to swing around like a fighter.
She has to swing around. She's doesn't have the no inertia laws that Babylon 5 do. But I think, again, that's the limit of the universe and the rules they've set up within that, as opposed to anything else. But that's besides the point. I mean, she's certainly much more maneuverable than Trek capital ships and stuff like that. So I think we're pitching for a 4.
Yeah, I think we're fine on that. Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
here we go.
Firepower. Here we go. Here's some fun.
Go on, him.
So, the Normandy 1, as equipped by the Alliance, is fitted with a spinal mass accelerator cannon,
which is
and
like
javelin,
Yeah.
Dual disruptor torpedoes.
Just to translate that for Pete, that's like a mass accelerator from Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like a railgun.
They give a nice little speech in Mass Effect 2 about what those guns can do.
Yeah, but in the case of Mass Effect 2, the Normandy gets massive upgrades.
You can choose to give the Normandy massive upgrades, which I'll get to shortly.
Well, we're not counting Mass Effect 2, not in this one.
Why not?
Because it's a different ship.
Oh, I'm not talking about Normandy 2.
All right, go on then.
Anyway, but yes, so she's fitted with a mass accelerator cannon, and she's fitted with javelin torpedoes. Now, the javelin torpedoes are quite powerful. They're able to punch through an unshielded Reaper vessel. The Reaper vessels are these big, fuck-off huge ships. I mean, they're not quite as big as a Superstar Destroyer.
They're not far off, though.
They're not far off. And this thing literally ploughed through an entire fleet like a bone through butter. It just busted through those things, knocking them out of the way sort of thing. Now, granted, by the time the Normandy was in the position to fire this, its shield had largely come down, but it fired one of those torpedoes and it went through one end, out the other, and detonated the thing. The Normandy 2 is fitted with the same torpedoes. Now, Lee has been very fond of pointing out that the Normandy 2 is fitted with the fancy, is it the Frax cannons?
The Thanix.
The Phanex cannons, yes. But you don't have to fit those. You can
look.
No,
Let
me finish.
We're not talking about the SR2.
We're not talking about SR2. I'm talking about javelin torpedoes.
Yeah, well, why
If
bring
you
up my
don't-
cannons?
Let me finish. If you didn't fit the cannons and you go up
Handbags at
against
dawn.
the collector ship, you fire those torpedoes, a barrage of them, and they destroy the collector ship as well. Those torpedoes are fucking powerful.
Yeah, I take your
And the
point.
Normandy 1 has them.
Yes, but if you want to use the Mass Effect 2 as an example, you have to fire a hell of a lot more of those than you do the Thanix cannons.
No, you do. And again, I'm not taking anything away from the Normandy 2. When it comes to the Normandy 2, you can have your 10. You can one-shot a capital ship.
Woo!
But all I'm saying here is the Normandy 1 isn't the wet squib you lovers will believe.
I never.
If she can get them off, she can fire the shots well. I think she's worthy of an 8.
Do you know what? That's fine, because that's exactly what I was looking at. I was actually about to say an 8, but if you said a 9, I was going to go ooh, and I was going to make a lot of ooh and ah noises. But you said
Give me the 9 anyway.
and then give you a 10. No, I mean, yeah, I think 8's fair. 8's fair. Poor old Pete, he's just sitting this one out, ain't you? I'm sorry about this, dude.
It's all right.
But we're educating him, as we educate the masses.
Masses effect.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway.
So, for defence, I think we could do quite nicely here. She's fitted with Guardian point defence laser cannons.
Yep, that's fair enough.
So
they're not very
I
good,
think
mind you. But
sorry?
they're not very good, mind you.
Well, they're not very good if you're snuck up from behind and fucking blasted in your opening salvo. So, yeah, that's not so good. And against beam weapons, not so much. But still, point defence weapons.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
4.
Okay.
Now, kinetic barriers. Where are we putting kinetic barriers?
I'm putting them around about the shit shields level.
Yeah?
Because as nice as it is to have them, when it takes a hit, and the shields don't seem to do much.
That's fair enough. I'm not gonna argue that. I think 3 has energy barriers there,
Yeah.
but they're not Trek shields. No,
they don't.
You can't sit around all day pounding on them.
And, you don't get anyone saying, "Oh, look, the shields are down by 10%." Usually, what
you
happens
don't
is
have a bridge suddenly shakes and they go, "Shields down 20%, sir."
Yeah. What you get is "Oh fuck, we've been hit," and then the ship explodes.
Yes.
So that's a bit crap, to be honest.
Little bit.
I mean, the shields might as well not be there for the most of the part, but let's not argue that bit. But anyway, so 3, I'm saying.
And then for special, she's equipped with her maneuverability. She's a very maneuverable ship, so she can move out of the way of a lot of shit.
Yep.
And then she has her stealth systems, her cloaks and all this. I mean, we're not talking your Star Trek kind of all goes wibbly wobbly and then you're invisible. We're talking, the more scientifically accurate. It's hiding the heat because, as we've mentioned before, space is big, really big.
You just won't believe how
shots
huge.
big.
Yeah,
I mean, yes.
Okay, so that's 2.
Sounds like a 2, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just having a look here. What we gave for.
Yeah.
Okay, just 2. I would have asked for 3 just on the stealth system and the big point and the maneuverability, but.
That's 2
if
things.
you're saying it's only 2.
2.
Oh, sorry. So it's a point per thing. Is that how it is?
Yeah, that's what happened
2
with the Borg.
Quaternions, yeah.
2
So 2
Quaternions.
Quaternions. Very, very well then. Well, I'll take the 2 then.
Yeah. Because the other thing to bear in mind is that even if you did ask for a 3, I would have knocked you off a point because that stealth system's lovely, but if they leave it running for too long, it cooks the crew.
Yes, it does.
There's a little ping like a microwave afterwards. Ding.
Yeah,
does that?
Yeah, because it stores all the heat in these cells inside the ship. But the problem is the heat obviously builds up, and if they don't vent it soon, the ship will basically cook the entire crew.
Yes. The heat's got to go somewhere, the laws of thermodynamics being what they are.
Flaming pants, Batman.
Yeah. Oh, did anyone vent the cook? Oh, shit. I've left the cooker on. Boom. So, yeah, I would have docked it a point anyway.
Fair enough. So, realization.
Well, I mean, video game. I mean, it looks fucking awesome. I mean, you can't really fault it for looking like it belongs in the universe, can you?
It's again, this will come under coolness later on, but the exterior, it's great. Again, there's a lot of thought gone into the way the engines kind of change the shape of the ship for when it's going through the mass relays or when it's operating in the atmosphere. You've got these really cool vector thrust fins at the front for when it comes down to land. It almost rears back, and the engines kind of blast to slow it down.
Yep.
I love the design. It's that long, sleek hump with the Normandy on the side. I mean, again, it's a shame when we see them, but you see there's escape pods and stuff on there, which is also kind of cool. I want a 5 for Realization.
Well, hang on. Because I've played this computer game, and it doesn't look as good as a model in Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would have given it a 4.
I think 4 is the most you can ask for.
I'm asking for a 5.
It doesn't look as real as a model. It's clearly computer graphics CGI. I mean, admittedly, I played it on my Xbox, so
yeah. And let's be honest, there, it appears in a 10-year-old game, so it's not even like super duper nice looking graphics.
The opening shot of Mass Effect 2 when that thing warps in. Boom.
Yeah, a pre-rendered sequence. Yes,
that's not pre-rendered. That's game rendered.
Yeah, on a different engine with technology 5 years later.
You know what? Just because I can't be asked with the argument, fine, I'll take the 4.
No, I'm just saying that with video game stuff, I mean, I think 4 is fair unless there's something absolutely stunning. I mean,
just so you know, I'm sampling that right there for when we get to the Normandy 2.
Yeah, no, I'll take the 4. I don't mind that. But I will.
All right,
I will
interior.
Okay, I've got one for you on this.
The
one,
lift looks nice.
The lift is very nice. It's a lovely lift. What have you got for me, then, Lee?
No. I want to hear your thing first. Go for it. You're the one defending it.
I don't see why I have to defend it, but the interior is fantastically well thought out. I mean, they even explain why you have the command section towards the rear as opposed to at the front. You've got it has a sense of a living ship. I mean, okay, it's got the slowest lift on the fucking planet, but aside from that, I mean, again, that first time, again after the Eden Prime mission, you get back and you get to walk around the ship. You've got the cool galaxy map there in the middle of the thing. You go and chat to Presley. You got the steps down. You got the little briefing room at the back. You got the little cryopods as well. I mean, I think it's slightly unfair that the captain gets a bed and everyone else is sleeping in fucking pods, but they fixed that in the 2 anyway. So,
okay. Do you remember what we had a problem with the White Star?
The size, yes.
What was the problem with the interior, apart from the fact it looked fucking horrible? But
mostly it looked fucking horrible, and secondly, it kept changing its relation to how it was outside.
Yeah, see, there's a very well-known thing about the Normandy, and one of the reasons why when they made Normandy 2, they made it bigger, which is basically that the internal dimensions of the Normandy 1 don't actually fit inside the Normandy 1's exterior.
No, they do not. See, it's Gallifreyan technology behind us. I should get some more points back here for fucking firepower and defence for that.
No, it's literally when you're actually standing outside of the Normandy 1 on the gantry, and you walk along the gantry. Oh no, mate, you don't have to.
I know this very well. In fact, it's even worse whenever you go to visit one of those planets and you've got those things that look like the command module from the Zero X on them.
Yes,
you know those things.
Yep.
And then you walk out, and I did this. You walk outside, and it's about 20 paces, I think it is.
Yep.
You walk on the inside, it's like 70 or 80, with an upstairs as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's got to dock it quite heavily because even though it looks interior,
that can knock it from being thing. But its realization in how well it's thought out and what's gone into it, and just it's being there, it's still really cool.
It is really cool. You get no argument from me on that. But what are you asking for? Because I'm telling you what, anything over a 3 and I'm not giving it to you.
I want a 4.
Well, you're out of luck.
Well, we're going to be here a long time.
Because
3:28 a.m.
I'll take the 3. There's too much potential to fuck with you, and yeah.
What?
I'll take the 3.
No, don't start putting it back on me. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to meet halfway here.
I'll take the 3.
After all that.
What does that leave us with?
Science, realization.
Science.
Oh,
Okay.
well, here we go. This will be interesting. I'm interested to see how you play this one.
Oh, I reckon. I don't know, you see, here, because obviously we're dealing with the whole mass relays, the Prothean technology and all that sort of thing. That is pure science fiction.
Yeah, that's proper fairies, that is. But
That is Dancing with the Fairies. But then,
Maidumtium.
yeah.
yes, unobtainium and made upitium.
Well, it's called Element Zero, isn't it?
Yeah, ESO and stuff like that. But then they do things like acknowledging that with the stealth systems you need heat sinks, and as you said, if you leave them on for too long, you're going to end up cooking, and bits and pieces like that, which
actually work.
They've got things again with the mass cannons and all this. The fact that if you fire the gun, it either hits its target or it keeps going, and it will keep on going until it hits something, be it now or in 10,000 years' time, sort of thing. So, I mean.
What are you after then?
It's going to be a 3 or a 4, I think, on the realization for science.
I mean, I would, and this is not trying to start an argument here. I'm just saying a 3, just simply because there is a lot of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff that doesn't make sense, like the holographic screens, for example, and just bits.
How
like
do you mean they don't make sense?
Well, they're holograms. Yeah. Or they're solidograms, because you actually touch them. They actually physically, and they turn off and they disappear.
Ooh,
that's all a bit. That's a little bit too away with the fairies, if you pardon my phrasing.
I'd argue that is one of the. I mean, there's a lot of away with the fairy stuff in there, and again, a lot of it's down to like the biotic stuff and the ESO and those bits and pieces. But things like the holograms and all that. I mean, I think that is the kind of potential. I mean, because we've seen those kind of concepts for phones and all this, which fit on your wrists and kind of project sort of hologrammy bits and pieces on there. I mean, all I'm saying is that particular bit of technology I don't think is as away with the fairies as some of the other stuff. But I mean, like I said, I mean, there's things which are away with the fairies, the mass relays, the ESO and stuff like that. Although the mass relays do actually give you a relatively good explanation of why it can go FTL.
Yes.
As opposed to anything else. It basically converts the mass of everything down to next to nothing.
Yeah.
And what about the physics of it travelling through systems and stuff? I mean, does it move realistically in terms of not crushing the crew inside when it turns?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to have some. Well, I don't know if it has even.
It doesn't.
In this game, there's like pages of codexes and stuff in there.
Yeah.
There's definitely something about. Inertial dampening systems and all this. But
the ESO Mass Effect element.
ESO is effectively the unobtainium of this, where it's a case of if you can't explain it with science, the ESO did it.
Yeah, it either reduces the mass of your ship down to 0, or it gives you biotic powers, or it acts as some kind of inertial damper for the outside of the ship.
Wow, that sounds like an old bollocks, doesn't it?
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'd go for a 3, because there's a lot of stuff in there that works. Like Andy said, like the heat collectors and the need to vent and the fact that the ship has to kind of either travel completely silently, it has to just turn everything off and run silent. Yeah. All that kind of stuff is and the shields effectively are as good as science as possible, because they're like magnetic fields. So they don't really stop anything, but they can, in certain cases, repel things. So that's why I'm kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt and giving it a 3. But it is one more pointy-headed alien going, "Oh, I'll just hold on to this joystick and then everything will fly," away from the fairies. But it is, it's fairly comprehensive, and the codexes are very.
The fact is they've spent a lot of time thinking about it and explaining it. And we're not talking about Wikipedia, the fans just making this shit up.
No.
It's the developers have done this and published all this sort of stuff. So they have said, why can this work? How does this work? And done an explanation for it. And it might be anything they couldn't explain with science, they basically said ESO did it.
I mean, that's the thing. I that's why I'm giving it a 3, because I think there are more scientifically accurate ships, and then there's ones which are like the 5s, like your Discovery ones. But I think things like your like the Prometheus or the Nostromo are sort of in your 4s. Things that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, 3 is where I think it's going to have to be, just because there is those elements from Easover because science.
Yeah, yeah, reasons. It's the reason.
Yes.
It's the reason thing. Yeah.
It's the shut up, that's why, Ian.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, that's cool. We'll give that a 3.
So we're on to crew.
Crew. Yes, how many?
Standard complement of 52, I think I
So
said.
that's 3.
So that's a 3. And
Skill.
competence.
Right. Okay. Well, obviously,
Player.
yeah. The player is the main.
So if it's me playing, you're in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't shoot for shit in that game.
I mean,
In defence, though, you never actually fly the Normandy, so you're fine, Peter. There.
yeah. I was going to
Yeah,
say.
and that was one of the annoying things.
Yeah.
I want to fly the spaceship.
I mean, Joker is a very good pilot, so he would be for him alone. I'd give the skill a 4.
Mm-hmm.
He's not quite a Captain Kirk, is he? By any means, Joker.
Oh, no.
And Commander Shepard, obviously, he's your Christ Savior of the universe allegory. So again, I give it a 4. But Rex is an arsehole. Morden is a
2.
Is a 2. Yeah.
No, he's in 2.
Oh, he's in 2. Yeah. Oh, he's in 2. Yeah, that's right. Caden is a wet flannel. Yeah, and half the crew is kind of like, and then of course we have poor old Jenkins from the first 5 minutes.
Well, come on, Jenkins.
Leroy
is
Jenkins?
the red shirt.
Pretty much,
He is literally Leroy Jenkins.
he does. He literally just he turns up. You have him.
He runs off after the. He basically runs straight towards the enemy and gets shot by the weakest things in the entire game.
Please
About
tell me
70
they named him that on purpose.
I imagine they did.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they have a wicked sense of humour for those sort of things.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would pitch. I mean, I don't know what you're going to pitch the crew for, but I would accept a 4 if you were to go for that, because it's not a Starfleet crew, is it? Let's be honest. It's not Kirk.
Oh, it's not a Starfleet crew, but then again, I don't think the Normandy was ever taken over by a Ferengi.
No.
They in defence, they were turned into children at the time for stupid.
3 of them were, of which only 1 was member of the command staff. It was slightly off topic there.
Let's please not dwell on that one.
Yeah.
Let's not do it for another time.
Where's the captain? He's jumping up.
Future Peter has to deal with that one.
Yeah. Where's the captain? He's jumping up and down on the bed.
Yes.
Oh God.
God.
I mean, I would say with the Normandy, and I'm talking just in universe, and I'm trying to take the player out of it, because Shepard, as you said, is the Christ allegory. Hallowed be his name. It's this state-of-the-art prototype ship. It's a flagship project in the sense of, working with the Tuins. The Alliance want it to do the best it can. Whatever happens through the game, however you perform, it will make it through to the Battle of the Citadel. It will do its do there sort of thing. It never misses a beat in that respect.
You know the fact that the ship gets destroyed.
Yes.
Is that the fault of the crew or the?
No.
Okay, fine.
That is a
It's still.
have to
again, with Joker again, he kept that thing going a lot longer than it had any right to.
long enough for the rest of the crew to escape, and it was
Exactly,
ambushed by something that was essentially a massive shadow ship with few batteries up its arse.
It was like the Borg suddenly rocking up and taking on the Voyager.
Yeah.
No, not Voyager, because that's a shit example.
No,
but
the
a small ship, basically.
The NX-01.
Runabout. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, Garrus. Give him a 4. I would give him a 4.
I'll take the 4.
Because that's less controversial than coolness, I suspect.
I don't know. I think I might be willing to give Andy whatever he asks for on the coolness.
110.
Fuck off. It looks rubbish.
Fuck off, it looks rubbish.
Get stuff.
It looks like a prawn.
Oh, piss off.
Jesus Christ, man. You stand there with a straight face and the X-Bomber is one of your ships on your roster for coolness.
Yep.
And
I didn't ask for a 10 for the X-Bomber, did I?
If you thought you could have got away with it, you would have done.
No, in all honesty, no, because it wobbled all over the place. I mean, there are 2 problems with this. One, it does look like a prawn. The other is it's got those weird pod things which are almost as big as they're almost as big as the ship itself, which I find aesthetically very unpleasing. It just doesn't look right. Oh, and it's got those strange forky things at the front that seem to be just floating there as well.
It's the vector.
He's talking about
things.
Yeah, he's talking
the little
about
antennae things under the nose. Yeah,
he's talking about the control surfaces at the front.
Yes,
it doesn't look good to me.
Really?
No.
What's wrong with you?
It's an unpleasant-looking ship.
It's gorgeous.
Not an unpleasant-looking ship.
I can see the Concorde thing. I can see where you're going with there, and I'm willing to give it some points for that. But really, horrible.
What I don't know how to process that. The man who has brought the Red Dwarf a shoebox and an X-wing with some Lego stuck to it.
I think what we're establishing here is we have very different tastes in spaceships.
No, we have taste. You're just weird.
Yeah. I mean, I would say 8, and I know I'm stitching myself up for Normandy too, but the one thing I would say is there are much cooler ships, and I mean not just. I mean, I say this as a Mass Effect fan, but I think the Falcon is much more cool than this. I think there are ships which are inherently cool like this, and then there are ones that are just like legendarily cool. And I think there's the Normandy doesn't quite reach it. And I want to turn around and go, yeah, have a 9, but I can't in good conscience do that, knowing that some of the other ships we've got coming up. I mean, I would say the Discovery is more cool than this.
The Discovery is in 2001.
Yeah. I would call it cooler because it looks, it has a real style of its own, which is like the Normandy, but it's so much. There's something much more cool about the fact that it actually is like a physical object that's really there, and it has like a physicality to it that the Normandy doesn't have. And Normandy, and the thing with the Normandy is it does look a bit Designer Republic, Wipeout 2096, from the PlayStation games. And so if it wasn't for the lights down the side, you wouldn't even know how big that thing was. You could actually say, oh, look, it's got a little cockpit on the roof, and you just can't see it, and it's a fighter. So to me, as much as it pains me to say it, I would go for an 8 just simply because I think that's kind of really realistically with the rose-tinted specs off, and I know I'm stitching myself up for 2, but that's kind of where it should sit in the grand pantheon of ships. Right, okay, let's wrap this debacle up. What score does it have, Andy?
The Normandy scores, drumroll please, 57.
57?
57.
So so that makes it down at 5th? 4th?
Well, yes, because Borg are currently number 1, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Executor is at number 3.
Yep, number 3.
So, yes, that's about 5.
Yeah,
so we can kiss goodbye to...
the Phoenix and Thunderbird 3.
Phoenix and Thunderbird 3, yes.
Wow, there you go. Quite an eventful episode. Okay, so it just leaves us, before we go, to tell you what we're doing on the next cast. And on the next cast, I will be doing the Eagle Transporter from Space 1999.
Which we have checked is eligible because it is interplanetary.
Yes, it is. And Peter?
I shall be covering the Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy.
So no black lights next week, gentlemen, please.
And Andy?
I shall be rocking Fett's Vet. Yes. Slave 1.
Nice. I think
that's just for you, Joe. That's for you.
I think next episode is going to be all about the cool. I definitely think it's going to be an interesting cast next time.
Well, I'll tell you this much: when it comes to me talking about Slave 1, I will be playing Fett's Vet by MC Chris.
And I will be rocking some 70s flares.
70s synth. Oh yes.
Yeah.
What do you want for yours next week, Pete? Because let's face it, anything you want off of Awesome Mix Volume 1.
Yay! The Bowie track, definitely.
Oh, there you go.
A Moon Age Daydream. Not Teenage Daydream.
Oh, I think he might actually win for soundtrack alone. Then.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dear. It's going to be a tough one next time.
Oh, yeah.
So, thank you for listening. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, me.
Thank you, Lee.
Yes.
And, yes, hopefully no teeth were ground in the making of this podcast. And...
or axes.
Yeah, or axes.
No podcasters were harmed in the making of this episode.
No.
Just.
So, do join us for the next cast. Do remember, if you have that ability, give us a little rating on iTunes. That'd be great. And do it. And do join us on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/SpaceDocJury. So, until next time, we'll catch you all later. And see you soon. Ta-ra!
Goodbye.
Bye.
Space Doc Jury is a production by 3 Angry Beards for GeekPlanetOnline.com.